Hey, what's up, and welcome to this episode of EST, the podcast for established church leaders by established church leaders. My name is Josh.
My name is Sam, and you'll never guess who is visiting our church right now.
I'm like
looking out
walking in the
parking
door.
lot.
Oh,
Well, they're not walking in the
Santa.
door. No.
Santa.
No Santa. If Santa walks through the door, Santa's going to get stopped. Like, it ain't Christmas. What is going on? No,
well, you are in Florida, so it's Pitbull. No.
Yeah, well, I know who Pitbull is. I don't really listen to music. The LPGA is right across the street from us at
nice.
one of our local golf courses, and they are using our parking lot. And I'm actually very grateful to the LPGA, but it's about time for Wednesday services to get started, and they need to get out of the parking lot. So that's why I'm looking out there, and I think we'll be all right. They're all moving out. They're doing exactly what they said they would do. So we're good. We're good. But it's just neat. It's weird when you feel that phone call from the LPGA, and they're like, "Hey, we want to use your parking lot." I'm like, "Is this a prank call or for real?" And no, that was for real. Okay, sure, yeah. You can use our. They got the trolley going. It's so cool. Anyway, nobody cares, but I find it neat. Yeah,
I like it.
You know who else is neat? Boyd.
Church teams.
Boyd Pelly,
for sure.
Yeah, Boyd's great. Boyd is the co-founder there, and we joke a little bit, but he really is an amazing person. Leads a great group. Church Teams does a lot of different kinds of applications for church management software. Membership, check-in, texting, online giving. They do scheduling, groups. Really, if it is a software need, they do it. And they bring all of your data together, which is really, really important. And it's safe, and it's at a price point that you really can't beat. So get world-class technology for any size church. Pricing is simple. It's based on the number of people in the database. So smaller churches pay less, and larger churches have a very good price for them too. So you can't go wrong with Church Teams. We certainly love that they sponsor the show, and you can go get their offer at est.church. Again, est.church. They're giving our listeners some free offers there. So you should go check them out, sign up, give them a call.
Yeah. Like a bonus.
It is. Yeah. What a great segue, Josh King.
Bonus.
Yeah. We got to do these episodes where, we have to keep it interesting, right? So this could get not only interesting, but controversial. And that's okay, because I don't mind being a bit controversial.
I don't either. I don't mind it. Don't look for it, but I don't mind it.
So does your church do bonuses at all? Let me just throw it out there. Any form.
Mine?
Yeah.
Oh,
or do you?
I don't
even
know. I've been here 3 weeks. Yeah, I don't know yet. My previous church did, and it was a whole thing. So we had so many conversations about it, and I think we thought through it real well. So I can't speak to what they're doing now because I'm not their pastor anymore, and so they've already changed everything. So
you're not getting a bonus this year from them.
I am definitely not. That is a sure thing. So yeah, let's talk about bonuses, because some churches do, some churches don't, some churches are against them, and so we need to kind of talk through that.
Yeah, I think the those who would be against bonuses would probably take the position of, we're paying you to just simply fulfill your calling as God wills it in our church, and bonuses come across as very corporate, business-like, and that just has a bit of an icky factor, which if you do it in a bad way certainly can be the case. So I want to be fair to those who would say, listen, we don't do bonuses, we will not do bonuses. It just is really against the philosophy of how we pay the staff. And I can respect that, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that perspective. It's just not quite where I am. I think that when warranted, bonuses can be a helpful tool to motivate team members. So let's walk through this.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say, I would just add that, I think another reason that churches might be against them is if they see them only in the terms of achievement instead of performance. And so like so somebody might say, what are we going to do? Like if they baptize 10 people, they get a bonus. And so they put it in that sales category. And that's not what we're talking about. We wouldn't tie baptisms or your attendance numbers to bonuses. In fact, I would strongly suggest not doing that. But that's achievement based. But we're going to talk about performance and then other kinds of bonuses like Christmas. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's a key distinction. We actually were fleshing out an idea with our team, and I don't think we're going to do it for reasons that will be obvious. But trying to think of a way to like give bonuses to the staff that moves somebody from like guest to fully integrated, member and volunteering. And that for each person that they're able to do that for, to give them some sort of monetary bonus, and everyone have an equal chance to assimilate people. But it had too much of an icky factor to it. I just don't, it's like, hey, it's a good thought, like we get where you're going with this, but it's probably not going to work the way you want it to work. And it's just gonna, and then okay, so you're the church member that's fully assimilated and volunteering, and then you learn that like I got a bonus because you were on my list. It's kind of
And you're volunteering. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. But my point, listen, in this world of less full-time staff, more bivocational staff, church staff definitely changes. Church staff structure is changing. How you compensate people is changing. You're going to have to come up with some creative ideas. You're going to have to come up with some ways. Gone are the days of, well, we're just going to have a full-time worship pastor, full-time lead pastor, full-time student pastor, full-time children's pastor. You just, a lot of churches can't afford that. So the reason we're bringing this up is, one, I think it's a good discussion to have because a lot of churches will do bonuses and you need to do them correctly. But two, you're going to have to think about some creative ways to compensate people. And totally. I don't know that every idea I've had is right. Certainly not the case when it comes to these issues. But we'll try to flesh out some of them here. Okay. So types of bonuses. Let's start with this. There is the year-end Christmas bonus. Like everyone gets $500. I have no problem with that, but that's just part of their salary. You just need to do it every year, and they're expecting $500 as part of their income that they're going to buy their kids Christmas gifts with. So it's not really a bonus. You can call it a Christmas bonus, but it's not really a bonus.
Yeah, I totally agree. If you call it a Christmas bonus, I've seen churches do like one extra paycheck, or if you get paid,
I like that,
half of one paycheck. I've seen that. I've seen $1,000 for all the full time, $500 for all the part time. So you can do variations in that, and it doesn't have to be that much. But also on top of that, if you are thinking Christmas, like you mentioned there, people will buy gifts with it. Maybe consider giving the Christmas bonus sometime around Thanksgiving, instead of after Christmas. And if they don't know it's coming and that kind of stuff, it just helps. It's a little bit more if you're able to. That's a way to think about that. So Christmas, end of year, what else are there?
Well, merit-based would be the other side of that spectrum. Everyone getting the same thing.
So you got a good job performance.
Yeah. So you did something to warrant an additional compensation. Now, merit-based doesn't mean, well, every year I get a merit-based, a merit-based bonus of $500. That's just a year-end extra bonus. What we are talking about it's rewarding those who excel on your team, and not giving bonuses to those who don't excel. So that's key. Is when you do merit-based pay and merit-based bonuses, you reward those who actually did a good job, and you do not reward those who are underperforming. And there are a million different ways to do merit-based pay, but that is the critical component. Don't give bonuses to people that don't deserve them.
Yeah. I mean, and you got to really have a heart check on that. If the personnel team or if the executive pastor, whoever it is going to be making these calls, just doesn't have the stamina or the philosophy not to give bonuses to some folks, then don't even start, because what you're doing is you're cheapening what's going on. I was at a church where there were staff that we suggested they should not get bonuses, and personnel team came right in behind us and gave bonuses to those people anyways. And they didn't have the heart to say, well, we don't want her to get nothing. And I was like, man, she is not performing well at all. She's not she's not even doing her real job well, let alone excelling at it. And that's another distinction that you want to make is this isn't because they just did their 9 to 5. That's what they got paid for. It's excelling at it in some measurable way. So you hit the nail on the head with that.
So how much? Let's talk about the philosophy of setting amounts. How much is appropriate? So let's say that you are in agreement with giving bonuses. Let's say that you're going to do merit-based bonuses. What amount should that be? What percentage or a flat amount? How does that work?
So that's tricky. The way that I've done it in the past is, so if there was an excess, there was extra money that came in above expenses the year before, some of that money is set aside. So the year before it was set aside, say it's 30 grand or 50 grand or something like that. It's set aside, and this is designated to be performance-based bonuses at the end of the year. So you got to start with how much do you have to give? Then you start looking at things, and it kind of divides out what feels like a good thing to do, how much to give to people. And so obviously if your church has 100 grand that it can give to bonuses and you have 5 staff, those are going to be very large bonuses. If you have 100
that would
grand
be
and
extreme.
200
just
staff,
to go on the record, that would be extreme.
You could probably put some of that in missions. You probably don't need to do all that in bonuses, but yeah,
I wouldn't. That's a lot of money.
On the bucket. I wouldn't either. So it just depends on the bucket. I want to hear your opinion on this. Then I've got a different kind of bonus that I want to throw into the thought process here. Not only Christmas or performance, but there's another one.
Yeah. So 2 different ways to do the amount. One is a percentage of income, and your super performers get 2% or 3%. That'd probably be quite a bit, depending on what your income level is. And then maybe there's another tier that might get a 1% bonus, and then everyone else gets 0. So you're probably going to have, if you've got 10 people on your team, you might have 1 or 2 that get the highest level, 4 or 5 that get, the mid-tier level, and then there's usually somebody who's underperforming, so they don't get anything. The other way to do this is just, think about flat amounts of, $1,500, $1,000, $500. And, for your super performers, 1,500, those who, hey, you did a solid job. We were really glad you're here, $500,000. And then, everyone, those who were not performing, get nothing. So I think either of those is fine. I caution churches not to go too high on this, because it's not like you're selling stuff that, wow, you brought in $10 million of revenue to the company, and as a thank you, we're going to give you a $50,000 bonus. Well, that makes sense, right? If you go get that revenue, but big bonuses, there's some logic behind that. But large bonuses for church staff, I mean, it's like what you brought in the one person that gave $250,000 this year, and you're going to get a portion of that. That really doesn't strike me as a good way to do this. So I just like the idea of having some set amounts. I love the idea of budgeting it the year before, whether you take surpluses from the year before, or you just budget it. You absolutely must have the money available. Don't take from missions to do this. Good grief. No. Don't do that. Make sure you've budgeted the amount. And then I like the idea of flat amounts, or a small percentage of income for, and again, your super performers getting the highest level, solid performers getting a mid-tier level, and then if you are just doing your job or underperforming, you get nothing.
I like that. So I've heard that sometimes you get into these discussions and people feel like the lower income folks, right? The people who make the least amount of money, they should be eligible to get the largest bonuses. Have you ever heard that sort of philosophy? It's like, well, the highest income, they're already making a good amount of money, and that kind of thing. And so we want to give the lower income, and I'm not talking about like socioeconomics. I'm just talking about in comparison to your church staff. We're going to give them the biggest bonuses. What say you in something like that? I've heard that a lot in discussions.
I like the idea and concept. It's called
Mm-hmm.
from a theoretical standpoint, and I don't want to get too much into financial nuance, but it's the marginal cost of a dollar. Personally, I'm at an income level. If you gave me $5,000, I mean, it would really make a difference for me. I mean, that's a huge deal. But I'm putting that in savings for my next vehicle, right? I'm not going
Mm-hmm.
to spend that. I'm just like, hey, my wife's going to need a vehicle in 3 years. My daughter's going to be driving soon. That's going to go in the car fund. But you give
Mm-hmm.
$5,000 to somebody who makes $30,000 a year. That's food on the table.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So yeah, it's a lot of money for them. So that's the idea of the idea of a marginal cost of a dollar. Those who make more, the money becomes less valuable to them, the more they
Mm-hmm.
make. So I actually like the idea, as long as that's a consistent philosophy and it's not just this haphazard, well, we feel bad for this person because they don't make a lot of money. That's a
Mm-hmm.
really poor way to go about it. But if it's a consistent philosophy of actually those who are lower tier income, they're on the lower tier of what they make, we're going to actually allow them to have some of the top level bonuses. I don't mind that at all. Just be
Mm-hmm.
consistent. And
Mm-hmm.
you know I don't like the idea of well, we feel sorry for you. Rescue
Mm-hmm.
hires rarely work. If ever, don't hire somebody because they need a job. Feeling sorry for someone and giving them money rarely works. Don't do that. But if it's a consistent philosophy with the purpose of, you did an incredible job and we know this money will make a big difference to you. And we're very, very grateful for your contribution, and giving them the upper tier bonuses, I think that's great. I think that's a good way to go
Yeah.
about it.
Okay, so a different kind of way to think about this is, so if you've already, I would encourage you to think through the way that you set salaries or pay scales first. Once that's consistently in there, so what I've done in the past is like the median for that position in our size church's budget. And so if you have that already set, if there is a person who is at their median, right? They're not quote unquote eligible for a raise. We don't want to give them a raise because after a while they're going to be way above their median, while you might have other staff people who aren't at their median. So that question will help you determine those at their medians get bonuses. Those who are not at their medians because they've excelled at their job, I would give them raises. And that's a very I think important distinction to make, because they're getting raises to try to get them up to their median eventually as they do a good job, not just to give them a raise to get them to their median, but they need to do a good job and earn that. But those who are at their median, you give them a bonus, because bonuses don't build year after year after year. And so if you give somebody a $1,500 bonus, the next year they're still at their salary. If you give somebody a $1,500 raise, you're going to pay that to them for the rest of their employment. So I don't know that it's a different kind of bonus, but it's definitely who doesn't get a bonus are the ones who are open for raises in this performance sort of merit conversation.
Yeah, we've actually done that in tight years, like when we were in COVID years. We told the staff,
Mm-hmm.
we think we have the money now, so we're going to give you a bonus, but we can't give you a raise because we
Mm,
don't know what the future holds. Uh,
yeah.
and looking back, maybe we shouldn't have done that because, hey, things ended up being okay, and you don't want to suppress someone's salary long term. That's very detrimental to them. But it was for a
Mm-hmm.
couple of years, and it's just all that we could do. So in principle, sure, I think what you're saying is great. You just need to make sure that you have pay scales in place if you want to do that.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
can change your scales, by the way. Hey, inflation's bad. Okay, well, let's move our pay scales up. But having pay scales
Mm-hmm.
is a very helpful tool to know, okay, is this person making significantly above average for this position and in this, region, or below? And
Yeah.
then obviously, if they're way above that mark, but you still want to keep them, hey, we have excess funds or we do have some surplus, let's give them a bonus. I think that is a good way to go. I can tell you the reason I say this is I've seen some horror stories of people who've just stayed at churches for 30 years and they keep getting these 2, 3, 4, 5%
Raises. Yeah.
raises every year. And next thing you
Mm-hmm.
know, it's like, wow, they're making what? And they do what? But they've been there for 30 years. So implementing
Yeah.
pay scales is sometimes necessary.
It's so helpful. And you need to start there before you can do serious bonus conversations. If your pay's out of whack, your bonuses are going to be out of whack as well.
Yeah. All right. So when to give them? When should you give
Mm.
bonuses? Two really different philosophies here. One are just spot bonuses, meaning you crushed VBS. Here's $1,000. You know, uh,
Mm.
or we do reviews end of year, and your bonus will be attached to the review. Meaning,
Yeah.
however you do on your review, your annual review will determine the amount of bonus you get. Either one's fine. Again, just be consistent. There's something awesome to the spot bonus because it's like immediate and the person's not expecting it. If you go the route of year-end bonuses, everyone kind of knows they're coming, and so it's like, hey, did I get one or not? And personnel committee has been all over my case this year, so I'm probably not getting a bonus. I mean, there is some downsides to doing the annual bonus
Mm-hmm.
process. The benefit of a spot bonus is you just go give it, and it's just it's an immediate sort of reward. The downside of a spot bonus is it's kind of easily forgotten.
Yeah, and it takes a lot more. Like, I mean, most people can't just walk in and say, "Here's $1,000." So it takes some administrative stuff. I would. So another thing is, like, if you're giving the performance bonus out around the same time you're giving the Christmas bonus out, or the merit based with the Christmas one, there is a plus to that because everyone got a check. Like, nobody is supposed to see each other's amount. So at the Christmas party, here's your check and there's this gift and everybody got one. So that's a good thing. The downside to it is just like you wait all year long and all this cash is dumped at the end. So I would say you don't have to do your performance evaluations at the end of the year. You could do them in the summer and look back 12 months and just do them in the summer.
That's what
Another
we
way
do,
that I've seen it done. Okay.
and it
And another
helps. And
way that I've seen it done. Go ahead.
I was just going to say it helps us set the budget because at that point we've already determined people's raises. So when we start doing the budget process in September, we already know what the percentage increases is. So our big reviews are actually in August.
Oh, I like that. I've actually seen churches that do a performance evaluation and then your bonus will be given on your anniversary of your employment. That's another way to do it. I would just think through, and what they were trying to do was break it up so that all the cash isn't coming out at one time, that sort of stuff. So, just think through it and make something a little bit more consistent and expected.
Yeah. Also, don't forget about taxes.
Mm-hmm.
These are taxed at the marginal rate, so they're going to have likely more taxes for those who have taxes taken out. There will be
Mm-hmm.
more than what is typical
Mm-hmm.
for most church staff. That's kind of a
Yeah.
legal thing. Make sure you understand the laws. Talk to your lawyers and your accountants to make sure you do these
Yeah.
things properly.
Yeah. It's
Josh and
helpful.
I,
It's
Josh and
helpful.
I are just two fools, yammering on. So do not. This is not financial
Yeah.
advice. Hopefully, you knew
It is
that.
not.
It's just two guys talking. That's all we
Yeah.
are.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
All right, last thing, alternatives. Let's say you've gotten through this episode and you are convinced that you're not going to do bonuses. You're like, I don't like any of these ideas. I think it's just not good for my church. Fair enough. It's definitely not for every church. But what can you do in lieu of bonuses, Josh?
Mhm. Well, I mean, how about an extra day off? It's almost like and we make fun of these, but I don't think that these are horrible things. But sometimes, like, if you don't have a lot of money, say you're newlywed, and you give your wife a coupon book. These are things that I will do over the next year, because I don't have money to buy you a gift, but I will do these things. It's acts of service. And so it's a similar thing that you could do for your staff, and it's like an extra day off. Or this next year, you get your birthday off. You don't have to work on your birthday or the closest day work day with that sort of stuff. Again, these are bonuses. So think of them as bonuses. If you give them an extra day off, that doesn't mean their PTO grew by 8 hours. It's one time use and then it goes away. So there's that. What else could they do?
Things like a more flexible schedule. So
Mm.
let's say, I've encountered this a lot, and just in the churches that I've led. You have a woman on staff who's having children, and she wants the ability to work from home a little more than others, which is, by
Mm-hmm.
the way, completely reasonable. And most churches should be able to find a way to make that work out. And I'm not trying to get into issues of gender roles or anything like that. That's just facts. Typically, it's the women
It's
on
just
staff
how it
that are
happens
having
usually. Yeah.
having children are the ones that need the more flexible schedule. Let me just be frank about that. That's
Mm-hmm.
usually the case.
Mm-hmm.
So, what we found to be helpful is they often will request, or we will ask them if they would like a more flexible schedule, and in that flexibility then kind of becomes a bit of a bonus. Let's say you don't give out bonuses, but you want to reward uh, a woman on staff who's doing a really good job. Hey, would you like the ability to have a more flexible schedule? And a lot of people will take you up on that in a heartbeat.
Mm.
They will gladly, not that you need to underpay women. Goodness, equal pay, please, for women. Uh,
Right.
but um, but they would gladly take a little less to have a more flexible schedule. That's a lot of people, by the way. Now, that's not just
Yeah.
women. But I found it to be particularly helpful for women who are having children, who have small children, and they tend to appreciate it. At least in my experience.
Yeah. Yeah. What about gifts? So I've seen it can sometimes be, you know, maybe $300 for some people wouldn't be much of a bonus, but a $300 North Face backpack for all of the staff, maybe it's cheaper on the church. You do the math, it's cheaper on the church, but it's a really nice gift. Is that something that could is there any rules around that why you couldn't do that? Maybe like an iPad if you really wanted to go crazy or something.
Well, sure. If you're gonna do that, I don't know that I'd do backpacks. I'd do watches, and I would say a Tissot PRX is probably a good way to go. Um, Baltic makes some really good watches in that price
Uh,
point.
okay, all right,
Um,
but it is allowed.
yeah, it's allowed, but backpacks sound stupid. I'd do watches,
Oh
or
man,
or a
backpacks are
gift
cool.
or a gift certificate to Allen Edmonds. They make great shoes. They
Mm.
have some wonderful shoes in that price point range. So,
Yeah, I think
that
backpacks are cool. The other thing you could do is if a member has like let's say they have a nice cabin or something and you want to like kind of set everybody up with these you get a free stay at this person's cabin, but you don't want to use your member and it needs to be a certain kind of relationship. So you don't want to like abuse the church member and their generosity, but I think I really think you need to be constantly reminding yourself about staff appreciation. And whether it's you or a committee, set somebody up that's just what they think about. How can we appreciate the staff? This flows in that. Do you appreciate the staff? The church is doing well. I think you just really kill morale if your church is growing, exploding, and you're bringing in 600,000 extra dollars this last year, and we don't have enough money for raises. That kind of stuff just I don't know. It kills morale. So be thinking as the rising tide lifts all ships. It should increase the staff as well. That's all I got.
Yep. Yep. And we are at our closing. And as we close, we certainly want to thank our sponsor, Upward Sports. Upward is an incredible mission partner for you. They will help equip your church to run a self-sustaining sports ministry to reach your community. Doesn't matter whether you're a sports fanatic or not, but I'm sure you've got some people that like sports in your church. This is a first-class sports ministry. Upward is really the best and the largest in this space. They do recreation ministry just incredibly well. They've got basketball, soccer, flag football, cheerleading, volleyball, baseball, softball, just a variety of league and camp offerings. So they can help your church make a difference, and they can help your church build a bridge into the community. I just love their program. I'm thankful that they sponsor the show. And here's the deal. They are being so incredibly generous. We mentioned this on the last episode, and I don't know how long they're going to do this. So you guys just need to go get this. As a partner of EST, Upward Sports is offering a $500 sports startup grant to listeners. So go to upward.org/churchanswers. Upward.org/churchanswers. Get that $500 startup grant. By the way, tell them that we sent you. Josh and Sam sent me from EST, and they can help you get that 2024 league going. Again, upward.org/churchanswers, $500 sports startup grant. Cannot beat that. Thank you, Upward.
That's right. And thank you for listening and following us on social media. We appreciate you, and we will catch you next week.
Upward Sports equips churches to run self-sustaining sports ministries in their communities. Whether you're a sports fanatic or on staff at a church, Upward Sports will give you all the tools you need to run a first-class sports ministry that allows you to reach families in your community. Upward Sports offers basketball, soccer, flag football, cheerleading, volleyball, baseball, and softball through league and camp offerings. At Upward Sports, we want to help your church make a difference and give you increased opportunities to share the gospel. Learn more today at upward.org/churchanswers.